hidden agendas.
Yeah.
How many times have you been in a meeting where you've been thinking, I think they might be saying something. They may be saying this for a reason.
Yeah.
Or how are they trying to manipulate me or manipulate the situation or what are they hiding? What are they not telling us? You don't have to worry about that because everything's out there. And if there's something that's held back, we're required to say, hey, this is an issue, you know what I mean? And then when you passionately debate, that's part of it too, is you don't have to worry about somebody later on saying, well, we didn't talk about that. Well, because you have to talk about it, So you don't have to worry about lies. There's full trust, in these relational covenants.
Welcome back to the Worship Catalyst podcast. I'm Austin Ryan, along with our guest for this season, Ben Barfield. What's up?
Ben Barfield.
Ben is a trusted friend of mine and ministry partner, and we've been at it for almost 20 years together. It was then, way back in the early 2000s, that we began living with some relational covenants, and we've been living by them and helping others live by them to this very day. We're going to review these covenants here in just a minute and then give you 11 reasons why you should really want to have these non-negotiables on your team or in your ministry partnership or business partnership. Ultimately, you can have the team of your dreams, and I think you'll see why. So, Ben, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I just want to correct you a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So this may be a covenant number one thing we got to deal with. We'll talk about it in a minute, but you said early 2000s. Bro, let's not go too far back. Mid-2000s.
It was the mid-2000s.
Yeah, just so you know.
It just feels like longer ago than that.
I know. Well, the mid-2000s was a long time ago.
I think the other thing that we need to clear up right now is how beautiful your shirt is right
we
now.
are both wearing pink shirts. Dude, we're like in the 80s, bro.
So
we got the pastel thing going on.
If you're only listening to this podcast and not watching it, you don't understand that Ben and I are both wearing pink shirts right now.
We both loved Miami Vice back in the day.
That is the color.
There you go. If I just had a white blazer on with this shirt, it would be awesome.
Don Johnson.
Yep, and some topsiders.
That's
is that what they were
classic.
called? Topsiders?
It's one of the kinds of shoes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, well, here we are, man. And so, we want to talk about these because you may not be convinced. People, it's like sometimes we've talked about these covenants, and probably 90% of the people I've shared them with out of the hundreds have been like, oh my gosh, we have to do that.
Right.
But then there's some that are not quite, are you sure this feels a little mamby-pamby, feels a little weak? Feels a little relational. It's like we're doing ropes courses together.
We are wearing pink, bro.
And we are wearing pink. Maybe that's why.
That's why, yeah.
There are some reasons from a business perspective, from an education perspective, from a, productivity perspective, that these covenants are really valuable to your team. And we're going to get into that. Before we do, though, why don't you just review the covenants so that we're all on the same page?
The first covenant is the relational covenants. The first one is that I've always got your back. It means that, I'm not going to hear anything bad about you, not going to say anything bad about you. And for 20 years, we've both abided by that. Yeah. The second one is that if anything gets weird, awkward, off between us, that we deal with it immediately. And not just that we deal with it immediately, but that we are required to deal with it immediately. And the other one is required to hear it and accept it and then we engage in a conversation about it.
We'll talk about one of those in a minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the third one is to passionately debate whatever decision there is. If we have the decision to make, if we have conflict, whatever, we passionately debate it. And once we make a decision, it's a shared decision, an own decision. No matter what we started on, what position we started on, we share that and we own it as if it's our own.
So we can't say, man, we got to do this stupid decision that Ben came up with.
Right. Or I told you so. We can't say those things.
Can't do that. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about this after we did the first episode. We were talking about this one story, this one number 2 covenant that was a pretty big deal. Right. And I thought it would be good if we shared this story. So remember we talked about how we can see each other clearly through the glass, but anytime we start to put things in the glass that disappoint us or frustrate us about the other person,
right,
or are even confusing or whatever.
Even if they're small.
Yeah, even if they're small. Then what the number 2 covenant is emptying the glass so that we, because it's usually not one big thing. It's usually a combination of a bunch of little things that become the problem in the relationship. So anyway, the first one of these, you and I had this family in the church. I got the phone call during the Super Bowl that the small child, 2 years old maybe?
I think he was 3
years old. He had fallen in the pool, their pool, like between because the winter top was on it. So in between, it was down there long enough and was really bad shape.
Yeah.
They finally got him out of the cold water.
Right.
Airlifted him to the hospital. They called me can you meet us at the hospital? I said, I'll find Ben and we'll come. So sure enough, you were at another Super Bowl party, picked you up. We go to the hospital. A lot of people parked all over the place. So I said, why don't I drop you off? I'll go park the car, come back in. And like 2 minutes later, I come in and you guys were already back in the thing. So I go up to the desk and I'm like, hey, I need to get back there. I'm one of the pastors of this, kid. And they're like, there's too many people back there. I can't let you back there. So I sat out in the waiting room. I sat out in the waiting room for what seemed like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Waiting for any kind of news. Calling, texting.
Right.
Nothing, And finally you come out and you're like, hey, man, and like, what's going on? And you fill me in that it was, not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, he survives.
Yeah, it was a great story, but that's a separate story. It was a great story.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks later, he walks into church.
I know. It was crazy. A miracle of God. Yeah.
They even left him, remember? They left him there and basically said, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah. And it made the paper in the community, everything. Prayer Works, Jace Lives. It was so cool.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the rest of the story is that I was frustrated by that anyway, But then over the next week or so, or 10 days, or 12 days, however long he was in the hospital, you were there every day.
Yep.
All day. Sun up, sun down kind of thing.
Right.
And no room for anything else. So no room for anybody else to kind of come in and sit with the family, minister to the family. And I was starting to feel like I was just basically getting shoved out. Like, I'm not capable of ministering to this family or giving any kind of hope. And so what really did it, and I didn't really know what exactly I was feeling, I didn't have a good sense of it. And we had never really had a number 2 covenant before, I'd never lived in a number 2 covenant before, is what I'm saying.
And this one was hard.
And this was a hard one. But one day I went up to the hospital and sitting in there, and you're in there, of course, and, talking a lot. And I'm in there trying to, connect with the family and stuff. And then before I go, you go, hey, why don't we just let Austin pray?
Yeah.
As in, we're going to allow Austin.
What a jerk.
We're going to allow Austin. He's not very good at it.
Yeah.
But we're going to allow him to attempt a feeble prayer.
Maybe his prayer might add a little bit more to my blessing.
But I've been praying a lot. We don't need his prayer, but why don't we allow him to do that for a moment? So I walked out and I got in the car, and I was just like, I was between livid and hurt, and I didn't know what. I just had all this. And I was sitting out there in the car going, this feels like I'm starting to not feel good about Ben.
Yeah.
Like, I think, honestly, I probably already had a couple of mints in there from the emergency room and other stuff.
Yeah.
And then this other one
was a big one.
Got it to where, it was a big one, and it got it to where I was seeing you through the junk in the glass.
Yeah.
And I wasn't seeing you. And that was me. I mean, that was me. I didn't deal with it.
Right. And I didn't know any better.
But once I figured it out, that's what was going on, and I had that feeling. Like, the next day, you and I had a meeting at my house. And after the meeting, I was like very nervous, came up to you. You were walking to the car, and I was like, hey, man, do you have a minute? And I was like, I got a number 2 to talk about.
You're silly.
Number 2 covenant, man. And you were like, okay, cool. What is it? I mean, you were like, what? Tell me. Like, whatever it is. And so I told you the whole thing. This is how I'm feeling. Feeling like you're pushing me out of this
hogging
whole thing.
It all.
You're ball hog.
Yeah.
And you were like, man, I remember clearly you were like, man, I am so sorry. That is not what I intended. And but I did that. I am doing that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you even said, I think I've been doing that because I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I've never been
in this situation.
Yeah, exactly. You remember that?
Yeah, I totally remember that. And I remember you even said, I don't even know if you've done anything wrong.
Right.
However, this is how I feel, so I have to say it. You know what I mean? And that's, to me, that's like a huge thing because it doesn't really matter if I did anything wrong.
Yeah, it's not always objective.
No. Sometimes the issue is because, like I said, I didn't know. I had no idea. But what happened after that? The next time we had a situation.
Well, we even decided at that moment, we're like, hey, before we go, let's figure out if we were going to do this again, how would we do it better? And we kind of mapped out a plan.
And it wasn't long.
And we needed it.
We sure did.
Yeah.
And we shared responsibility the next time. We actually both of us held a mother's hand as they were telling her that her child had died.
in a car wreck.
And we both held her hand together.
I remember that.
You know?
I'll never forget
Come on.
that moment.
You know?
But we handled that totally differently because we had the conversation.
And if we hadn't had it, we probably wouldn't be where we're at today with our relationship.
No way, dude. I'm telling you, that was a
man.
game changer.
Yeah.
I can see a tough leader out there, some sort of hard driving type A leader out there going, hey man, I got a good relationship with my staff. Why would I need covenants, you know? So, but there's some reasons that we should have them. You'll want to have them. So what's the first one?
The first one we talked about, and this is all in the book, right? Mm-hmm. The first one we talk about is more is accomplished with unity than if you don't have it. And one of the things that you always say that always sticks with me is what unity is: relationship plus mission. Relationship plus mission equals unity. Uh-huh. And without either one, you can't have unity. So we might all be on mission together. We might all be heading in the right direction. But if we don't get along, we don't have a relationship, we're not unified. Yeah. And the opposite is true. If we have great relationships, but we're not doing anything, we don't really have unity.
You know, a lot of people see that as like a ministry thing, but it's not at all. Because every business, every education, every whatever has a mission.
It has a mission. That's right. You know, whether you are a businessman, a teacher, in the government, whatever, it's all mission. You know, when we were talking about this yesterday, you mentioned a sports analogy. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I just think like with teams, if you look at the teams that accomplish great things, there's a great deal of unity. You played team sports, right? You played some basketball and stuff?
Yeah.
You're a basketball coach.
Baseball. I coached basketball.
Coach basketball, played baseball?
I never scored in
Those
basketball.
who can't score.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Got it. So I remember playing high school football, and that's as far as I got in my career. But the thing is, there were these guys that I would not ever be friends with, probably, because we just had different ways of life, different groups, whatever. But man, during football season, we were buddies. Yeah. Because we had a shared mission, and it really drove the relationship. And so we got a lot more done.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that oftentimes in Super Bowls or World Series. You see these guys all hugging each other, loving each other when they win, and you never see them just turn their backs on each other because they have a relationship and a shared vision, a shared mission. Yeah, that's good.
The second one is the covenants with your team. Either it's just a 2-person team or a 20-person team or whatever. Covenants give peace. Yeah. It was an interesting study I did, and the World Economic Forum did a study in 2017 on peace. It's interesting, and what they found was that they found that with more peace came more rest and more productivity and better workflow and all this kind of stuff with peace. And I love that was done not by some Christianity Today or something. It was done by the World Economic Forum, who's telling us if your staff has peace in their lives, then they're going to get more done for the organization. They're going to rest better at night. They're going to be more alert and energetic. But that peace comes because you're not focused on broken relationships. You're focused on comfort in my job, comfort in my friendships, and the person sitting next to me, and my boss, and working for me, and all of that. So,
yeah, that's good, man. And you don't ever lose, like you said, you never lose an ounce of sleep in this. That's good.
Never.
The third one is that we enjoy our work. You'll enjoy your work if you have these in your life because, we've all been in jobs. It's so funny, like when you see the old sitcoms or TV shows where they talk about their work, they're all like, "Oh, I got to go to work. I got to get up," and it's this thing that they dread. The job is they just dread it. Well, you know what? I've been there. I've been there working in a church where, because I didn't like the relationship with someone or we weren't doing the same things together. And so I didn't like going. It was like literally getting up and clocking, punching a clock every day. But, when we were working together in Arizona and Nevada back in the day, and even like when we do things now, it's like fun, man.
Yeah,
I mean, every day we enjoy. We used to sit in your living room doing some planning, and stuff, and it would be hours before because we were just having so much fun.
Just looking forward to being
and it was work. Don't get me wrong, it was hard work.
Yeah,
but we just loved it. Yeah. And we loved working together.
And it's covenants build that, man.
For sure.
Because you're so not only committed to the relationship and to the mission, but you just feel accepted, you feel okay, you feel like this is my space, this is my team, all that kind of stuff. That's awesome. All right. Well, the fourth one is that people on your team focus more on the work itself and less on the junk in the glass. Okay. So, like, looking between you, I don't see you. I see you through the stuff in the glass. Well, this is the way that most people see each other on teams. All kinds of teams. They see each other through the stuff that they've done to each other or around, or like, I don't like the product of your work. I don't like what you do. I don't like whatever. But the thing is, if we have covenants, there's nothing in the glass.
That's good, man.
So that we're not thinking about, we're not dwelling on that stuff.
More productive, huh?
Way more productive. I'm not thinking about in a meeting, I'm not thinking about, man, I don't really care what this guy's idea is because he's a freaking jerk.
Yeah.
I never had that thought. Why? Because there's nothing in the glass.
Right.
Like, I'm able to see you for who you are. Now, it may be a bad idea, but with the number 2 covenant, I can be honest.
Say that, yeah.
So anyway, more work gets done and less focus on the relationship. And I want to say something about bosses specifically on that, because I think a lot of times bosses, they're separated a little bit from the actual office banter that's going on. And nobody's going to come to them and, unless it's middle school, and say, so-and-so said this or so-and-so said that. You're just separated from it. But if you think that your team is working together perfectly as a boss, you're just so far disconnected that you don't know what's going on in their minds when they're trying to work, but they're thinking about the stuff in the glass.
Right. That kind of leads into the next one, really, is the next one is that you don't have to worry about lies or you don't have to spend any time thinking about that, hidden agendas.
Yeah.
How many times have you been in a meeting where you've been thinking, I think they might be saying something, they may be saying this for a reason.
Yeah.
Or how are they trying to manipulate me or manipulate the situation or what are they hiding? What are they not telling us? You don't have to worry about that because everything's out there. And if there's something that's held back, we're required to say, hey, this is an issue, you know what I mean? And then when you passionately debate, that's part of it too, is you don't have to worry about somebody later on saying, well, we didn't talk about that. Well, because you have to talk about it, So you don't have to worry about lies. There's full trust, in these relational covenants.
Yeah, that's so good, man. God, that's so great because it's like, how many times do you wonder if somebody's really telling the truth?
Yeah.
But that's not a part of it.
Nope.
You know they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Number 6 is accountability is built in. So, in the book we talk a little bit more about this. Where we get into the types of people that should not be in relational covenants, and one of them is somebody that can't handle accountability. You know, because in the covenants, accountability is built in. Because you're telling someone, if you don't come to me and tell me where I'm not functioning the way that I should be, then you're out of covenant for not telling me.
Right.
So the accountability is built in that I've got to be at the best of my game all the time, or people are going to come and bring it up to me. And so that's a reason you should be in covenant because, like Henry Cloud says, he says, focus on your strengths, but build structure around your weaknesses. And so what this is doing, with the accountability, it's building structure around your human nature and ability to function properly in relationships.
That's really good, man. Another one could be the idea of the deep relationships are formed. We've been working together, how many, 15, 20 years?
Almost 20, yeah.
Yeah, most of the time, like very closely together. Mm-hmm. And I would tell every person in the world that you're my best friend. Mm. And some people even hearing a dude say that to another dude.
Yeah.
Might feel that's just weird, bro. And but no, I mean, we have a deep relationship, and it's been formed because of covenants. And it doesn't mean it was always easy. We had difficult conversations,
absolutely,
but and difficult situations we had to overcome together. But we love each other, man. Mm-hmm. We love each other, Austin. I love you.
Love you too, man.
That's not weird to say. No. You know what I mean? It reminds me of the biblical story of Jonathan and David. Oftentimes some theologians and scholars they talk about, hey, there's a weird thing there because of this covenant relationship they have and the way they talk to each other. That's just weird. You know, it's what happens when relationships are dealt with because of freedom to not see each other weirdly. I don't have to worry about what you're saying. I have deep relationship with you. So yeah, there's that,
Jonathan and David is such a perfect example. We unpack this more in the book, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But they made all three of these covenants together in a, really clearly, and they obviously, and they reiterated them.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example.
And held them, to the end. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So number 8 is being known, which is covenants help you know you're not misunderstood.
Yeah.
So those times when like somebody says something and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so mean, or that was so wrong, or that was so, intentionally biting or something like that. But then the person is going, no, you didn't understand. That's not what I meant. You don't understand. Like, that's not my intention. I may have sounded like that, but that's not where it was coming from. Have you had those kinds of...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
not with you, with someone else.
When you have covenant relationship, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Because you understand where the person is coming from, because it's always coming from a good place.
Right.
Right? This happened to us one time when there was a guy that was on our team. Remember, we were training this guy to plant a church in downtown Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And I said something to him that was pretty straightforward. Might be my nature to be somewhat straightforward. And he went to you.
Right.
You remember this?
Yeah, he came and he said, Austin's been really mean to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what he said. Austin's just being really mean and got emotional. And I'm like, no, bro, you just got to understand Austin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was able to explain to him who you are, and then we went to you together.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I may have misread you, and you were able to say, oh, bro, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
And it would have been super easy for me to just say, yeah, I know that just happens sometimes. But instead, I defended the relationship and defended you because I didn't want him to see you wrong either. You know?
And the other thing as I think about that, I was not in covenant with this guy.
Right.
Which means that he and I had not necessarily had number 2 covenants and all this kind of stuff. And so that means that he didn't really know where, he had no way of knowing.
He didn't know.
He had no way of knowing where I was coming from.
Right. It wasn't the first time, and you know this, it wasn't the first time I heard something like that about you. And matter of fact, we probably had conversations, you and I, in the past, because of my personality, that I may have felt that too. But because we had been in covenant so many years together, I knew that's not what he meant, bro. And let me tell you what he meant, and let's go talk to him about it. You know? So yeah, that's good.
Yeah. That would have been totally different if he and I had that kind of relationship.
Yeah, because then he should have come to you. He would have been able to say to you, yeah, for sure. The next one is you always have safety in your role. Yeah. You don't have to worry about your job. You don't have to worry about where you stand in the organization, if you will, because you have these relational covenants. An example of this is when Austin came and we first met. We talked about it in the earlier about kind of how we first met. That we had already started a church, you know, and you came in a little bit, and the way I said to you, I said, hey, I want you to be my co-pastor. I want you to do this with me. I want you to serve alongside me. And not everybody in the congregation understood that because I'd been there we'd been going for about a year already.
Right.
And they didn't understand that, but we knew that. And it was strange for them because I'm giving you having you take over some roles.
Like 50% of the whole thing.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, you lead meetings better than I do. So I'm like, Austin's going to lead these meetings because he's better at it than I am. And so it was strange for them, but we didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to worry that you were out to usurp my authority.
Right.
I didn't have to worry about that you were going to take things over and pull it away from me because we trusted each other. And so, I mean, you don't ever have to worry about your role, you know. It's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
So,
and you can operate in your strengths that way.
Yeah, and I think that's the next one. It kind of ties right into it, and that is that when you're living in covenant, you always find what it is that you were made to do.
That's right.
And the main reason for that is because you have somebody in your life or a group of people in your life that are telling you when you're off track,
right,
or what they see in you, and you're having these kind of conversations all the time that are just an example. So, do you remember when you told me, hey, there's the people I work for, the Sin Network that I work for, they want me to move to another city and do this other job, to Las Vegas and do this other job. Remember that?
Yep.
And you were kind of like, maybe, I don't know, and maybe even a little bit, maybe I shouldn't, because we had this good thing going.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, you're crazy, man. You got to at least go investigate that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to not investigate.
And you didn't just say that. You packed up and went with me to
That's
investigate
true.
it. Yeah.
So we all got in the car the next weekend,
Yeah.
and we drove up to Vegas, and Cammie and Finley and Jill and you and me, and we just
Looked for a burning bush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And long story short, we all moved up there. We moved Worship Catalyst headquarters up there. We started another church.
Yeah.
We built all these relationships, saw all the life change and all these people. And, you know, if you didn't have somebody that was like, you need to look at this differently,
Right.
or at least look at it openly, then you might not have made the move because it might have been scary. You know?
Right. And I had been in situations before that I've been on staff or you know, even led organizations that I was afraid to have that conversation with anybody.
Yeah.
Because of how they may react to it. And like, oh, you're going to leave. And because of our relationship, because of the trust, while it was still scary,
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to talk to the only person I can talk about this
Yeah.
to is Austin. You know what I mean?
That's such a pet peeve of mine when there's a job opportunity for somebody on a church staff.
Yeah.
And they can't talk to their staff about it.
Right.
It drives me crazy.
I know.
I mean,
Who else would you talk to? These are the people you're closest with, right?
I know. And it's like, are we like, and it's a kingdom over castle situation
Right.
for me where it's like, no, man, what you're about, like, I want you to follow God's plan for your life, period. No matter what it means for us or anybody else.
Right.
And if I can't strip off the business side of this or
Right.
the protect our castle part of this, and I can't just come alongside you and help you figure it out, it's
crazy.
I might have my mind in the wrong spot.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It might be about building this thing for me. Yeah, that's
Might
crazy. That's crazy, dude. That's good. The last one that we talk about in the book, I think the last important thing about relationships, I think it's one of the most important, is when you have these relational covenants, it changes the whole culture of the organization.
Right. It does.
Because you talk about them. We talk about them. We in our church, we talked about them all the time. We talked about them on our teams. And there's a story that you tell. I love the story. I would tell it, but you tell it so much better. The story of the band.
Oh,
when you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
went and performed
Yeah,
somewhere and what they said. I love that, dude.
Well, because the thing is that you and I had this covenant. We extended it to the staff of our
Right.
church, and we extended it to the elders.
Right.
Okay. But we didn't extend it to every single ministry
No.
team because
Or to the whole church. You can't do it.
You'd be having too many number two conversations.
Yeah, a bunch
right?
of number twos. Why is that funny? I don't get
Which
it.
is sometimes good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry.
we're like junior high
I
students.
know,
having
we're
a
so
podcast.
bad. Yeah,
I
we
know.
are wearing pink.
So true. Which
I
is
was
the
in high
color
school,
we
not
all
junior high.
wore in middle school and high
I
school.
do. We're in high school. I'm older than you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Much older.
Yes.
As you can tell if you're watching on YouTube. So anyway, I got invited to go lead worship for like a event, like a conference, and I invited some of our band from church to come up and lead with me. And
This is so great, dude.
we
I love
sang
this.
these songs, and we're done, and everybody kind of scatters to go to classes or whatever. But this one person comes up, and we're just standing in a circle, me and the band. We're standing in a circle talking, and this
laughing, having a good time.
right, this person comes up, and they're just like, "Hey guys, I got a question." And so everybody's like, "Yeah, what's your question?" And this girl goes, "It just seems like you guys have such a great connection, and I would love that for my team. And I just wonder if one of you guys, I wonder if y'all just might tell me, how did you develop such a great connection and friendship with each other?" And I took a physical step away from the circle because I was like, I'm not answering this question. I want to see how somebody else
Yeah.
answers it.
Who, by the way, what person answered? I don't need a name, but what person in the?
It was a female singer.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she goes, let me tell you exactly how it happens. We've got these 3 covenants.
You got to be.
And the first one is, and she just nailed them. You know, we've always got each other's backs. We never say it. And, you know, if anything weird comes up, and she just nailed it. And I'm sitting there going, this is an amazing answer, but I'm not in covenant with you.
Yeah.
But they heard it so often and they experienced it because it's
Change the culture,
honestly, we live that around everybody.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have it, right?
Yeah.
And so it changed the whole culture of the team and the band and all the other little micro sub
Yeah, that's
ministries
so
and
cool,
teams
man.
in the church and stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool. What was were the other guys in the band, were they saying, yeah, that's it, or is it just? Or,
I don't remember the specifics of that,
Yeah.
but I do remember there was a lot of energy
Yeah.
around that. You know,
that's so cool,
I
man.
know. I may
That's
not
so
have
cool.
noticed because I was probably.
What was
like,
your
my mind
thought
was
in that
going.
moment?
Pride, like
Yeah.
just Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I already knew that we had a really special thing with
Yeah.
this group. In fact, I'm still in ministry with some of those people today. You know what I mean?
We definitely are in contact with all of them for
Multiple
sure. Yeah.
city, and like we've moved together to other places and all this kind of stuff because like it's just that special. But
And you're probably even some of those people you are in covenant with now. You know what I mean?
for
That's
sure.
cool, man. Yeah.
I know, man. It's amazing. So I would say, like, what we're trying to say in all of this, we need covenant
Yeah.
in our leaders and with our partners in ministry or work, and also with our the closest team to us.
Yeah. You said early in that first podcast, you said something to the effect of, "This isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
This is seems simple, but those 11 things we just talked about, or those 10 things, whatever they were, that's incredible, bro. I mean, it can change an organization.
It will,
and
it's a guarantee.
Yeah, and it isn't rocket science, but if you do it, bro, it can change everything. Yeah, it's cool.
It's like the gospel.
Yeah,
it's not rocket science, but it can change everything. Well, thanks, Ben, for the whole series that you're a part of. We got a couple left, but you can head over to Amazon and order your copy of the book of this series called The Three Covenants: Building Team Loyalty. Or if you have a team of 15 or more people and you want to go through the book together, which we recommend, and there's a discussion guide for it, go to the3covenants.com, order your books there, and we'll give you a discount. Okay, see you next week, and we'll start discussing implementation of the covenants. It's great. We'll give you 9 tips for implementing and reinforcing these 3 covenants on your team. See you next time.